Hey.
And here we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Franz, Sidney, and this is Create with Franz. And today we have with us Mel Lopez, coming from France all the way, although she's actually from Britain. So welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you so much, Franz. I'm so happy to be here.
I guess you are, because we're going to talk about food and it's almost lunchtime, but not quite the same.
I know, my stomach is rumbling.
Right? And in France, you guys are, is it 11:28 here, so 12:30 in France. Oh, it's time to eat something, maybe cheese-based. And, food is quite a nice topic of conversation, but I never share recipes. Instead, I talk about how food can become a problem in our life. And you guys who've been listening to me for almost 200 episodes, you patient people, and thank you so much for following me up to now. Thank you for sharing, so for subscribing and coming to my Substack. I'm so grateful. But now we're going to talk again about binge eating, because every time I have a new way of tackling the issue and a new reason why, especially women, but sometimes men as well, we do kind of binge eating. And what is the solution? The solution, she speaks like a German. The solution is not to have a really strict diet and to count your calories and to cut off all the sugar from your life and never eat a McDonald's ever again. That's not the solution. So there must be something else behind this. So we're going to start in order. We're going to spend about 8 minutes from now talking about what are the symptoms of binge eating, because not a lot of people are actually aware. Binge eating isn't just about eating. There's a lot more there. Self-sabotage, there are OCDs, there are traumas. And so I would like Mel to get started just telling me the tip of the iceberg, what was going on in your life. And yeah.
That is such a loaded question. You do realize that, don't you, Franz?
Yes, I love it. I love doing that.
So binge eating, it's, first of all, it's so subjective. Like every one of my clients will describe it different. You ask one person and they'll say it's when I feel out of control. And then you ask someone and is when they feel like they eat beyond their satiety until they're uncomfortable. And then you have the most extreme medical binge eating disorder, where they literally have, like, it's been diagnosed. So they would do to the extreme, where they'll eat food out the dustbins, they'll hide food, they'll steal people's food. And I know from my experience of binge eating, it wasn't medically, what do you call it? It wasn't like, I wasn't diagnosed. But having learned about it in later years, especially when I got to a point where I wanted to stop, it's when I couldn't stop. I realized, this is a problem. And so my experience of it was feeling out of control. And it has been something that I would say was growing inside me like a baby. I have this theory about binge eaters, which is a little bit different to the mainstream, is that I have noticed throughout my experience of binge eating and the work I've done with my clients, is that not everyone develops this extreme behavior. I noticed that there's there's a lot of unhealthy eating habits. Everyone knows. I know so many people, the majority of people have a lot of unhealthy eating habits, but there's only a select few that takes it to the extreme. And there's only a select few further on to that wants to do something about it. And this is the thing that this is where I fit in, because this is what I suffered from. And you were saying, like, the symptoms that I was having, the symptoms was very well articulated in one of your podcasts, A Specialist Binge Eater. And you can go on Google and find the symptoms. It's literally eating beyond like what is perceived as normal. But what I do and what I found in my experiences binge eating was that I believe in my experience that binge eating wasn't just about the food. It wasn't just about the weight. I believe this binge eating was a insatiable hunger for something that we are missing in our life. It could be that we are missing that nurturing relationship. It could be that we're settling for a life that we don't want, whether it's a partner we're not happy with, whether it's a job. I believe it's a hunger, which is basically a voice within us that is telling us to look at particular something. And from my experience, I believe that I was always looking for something. And one of the questions that I used to ask myself unconsciously, like I didn't even realize, it until recent years, that it was always trying to speak to me in one way or another. It was like, I remember a conversation I was having with a girlfriend, and I said to her, is this as good as it gets? How many people do you know would ask questions like that, literally like Joe Blogs? Nobody really asked that, but I asked that question. And when I started analyzing my life, the hunger was the key. And so just to take it back a little bit, I was doing the usual stuff, helping people overcome binge eating, because that's what I was suffering from. And I was doing that like about 5 years ago, helping people overcome the out of control eating. And then I started seeing a pattern. And then I felt there's something missing. There's something missing. How come we've got all the tools, all the information, and with the internet, with information so readily available, coaches, nutritionists, dietitians, there's just so many of them out there. We've got doctors' helps, therapists. I mean, like back in the day, could you remember, like where literally we didn't even know this was an issue? We really didn't even know. But now we've got so much help. And yet there's so many people still suffering from things like binge eating. And this was, it was kind of aggravating me. Like, what? It was annoying me. I don't know if you ever like have that, oh, I tell you what, like, have you seen Home Alone? That film, Home Alone, is like, oh, you haven't seen this film. So anyway, there's
Many
this film
times.
with Home Alone. Oh, you have?
Many
But
times.
you know where she's like, she left, like if anyone hasn't seen Home Alone, it's a classic Christmas film. I think it's like anchored to Christmas now, where she forgets her son at home. But because there was like about 20 of them going on holiday, she couldn't like pinpoint it was her son because she punished him the night before, wasn't it? And left him in the loft. And she was there in the plane going, there's something missing. Is it my car keys? Oh, no, the garage door. No, I've switched the oven off. And she couldn't figure it out, but something's not right. And that was me with binge eating. I thought it can't be food. It can't be weight. It can't be childhood trauma, which is what the mainstream is saying. It's childhood trauma. You're coping. It's just like cigarettes. It's just like drinking. It's just, and I was like thinking, well, if that's the case, why did I get it and my sister didn't? Because we were both raised in the same household. Maybe there's nuances as the way that we perceived life, but I was the one who had back-to-back addictions from childhood, and she didn't. I was the one with eating disorders, and she didn't. And then I realized this is the whole world. How come some people are fine eating more than they should, but don't develop binge eating? How come people eat lettuce and don't develop anorexia? And then there's people who, like, is out of control and they need to fix it. This is my question. And this made me go into this rabbit hole. And then one morning, it was like about a month ago, I had the aha moment, literally in the shower. I almost slipped where it was sat like a thunderbolt in my head. I realized this is going to be quite controversial. Are you ready for this, Franz? Because, yeah. But I do believe that there's a certain group of binge eaters. This is a gift to us. This is a gift because what I've noticed consistently with the clients that I've worked with, they've all have traits, all very passionate, all very like ambitious, or like I've had housewives. And then when I dig a little deeper, they'll like say to me, yeah, I've always wanted to play like an instrument, a musical instrument, and they never did. They're either overkept, they're very overgivers. They're so good at what they're doing. They're perfectionism, very driven. And yet, when it comes to food, there's this uncontrolled it there, but also a relentless feeling of wanting to fix it as well. And I put the puzzle together and I realized that if they realized that this was just the first level, because I see that everything that the binge eating for me was preparing me for the next step in my life. If you start, like I'm thinking, what people have got it so wrong is that they focus on the symptom, the cravings, the weight, the feelings. But really, it's not about that. It's about preparing yourself for things that you were supposed to live in this life. It could be just living the life on your terms, because as we know, binge eating, like all of the clients that I know and on myself, it's like you feel like this is not me. This is not me. And it's the part of your true self trying to come through. And so anyway, when I figured out this like pattern, I then went back to my life and I realized as soon as I overcome binge eating, something else came along, like relationships, and then my career. Every single thing was like building upon what the stamina, the strength. And I was like saying to some of my clients, could you imagine putting someone else who doesn't have an eating problem in your body? And I said, they'll probably want to be dead now because of the amount of strength that you actually have. A lot of binge eaters, like, you know, for me, for example, we used to think, oh my God, I'm so weak. How come I don't have any willpower? And yet they're there talking to me right now. It takes an incredible amount of strength to binge out of control and then to wake up in the morning and do it again and again and again. Could you imagine if you can transmute that energy into something that you wanted instead? If you could look at that as teaching you the strength that you need to fulfill the life that you really want instead.
Yes. And that is my connection, because I can see your trail of thought, the way you're going here. Because this podcast is all about creating the life you want. Now, sometimes we're not able to create the life we want. We have an unhappy work situation, relationship situation, children, husbands, wives, garden situation. We are Black, we want it to be white. We are tall, we want it to be short. We don't like our body. We don't like anything. We are very unhappy. So we have coping mechanism, and could be anything, but we have still the passion since we were young that we wanted to fly, or we wanted to become an engineer, or we wanted to do a baker and do a baker. That's good English today. To be a baker and bake cakes the whole day. Whatever there is, that dream has not come through, and we feel we're not really aligned, and our voice is there telling us something, and we do have energy somewhere, and so we're using the energy, we're channeling that into eating, is, if I understand you correctly.
Absolutely.
Instead of taking all the steps as a coach would tell you, all your strategies, how I'm gonna get there, and instead we're just eating and eating because, I can't possibly do that. I'm not good enough. I'm gonna fail. Look at me. I'm a fat slob. People call themselves with terrible names, and we don't believe in ourselves, do we? But deep inside, there's a wonderful creature, a human being, thinking, I can do a lot better, and I'm not doing it. And so this energy is going somewhere. So this leads me to the second and third part soon. How do you dig out what you need so you can move this gift into the right area of your life?
So the first thing is really the awareness, because I think when you're not aware, it's crazy what we do when we're not aware. We literally are just robots. And a lot of one of the words that keeps getting used with my clients, and I know, experienced it myself, is feeling like it's automatic. It's not even me. So when you've left, one of the biggest things that you just mentioned, it's that we, as a child, we had this kind of magic within us. We thought we could create anything. And when we align, you use the word align, because I do believe when we align with our true nature, if we take it back to basics, there is not a single person that could deny the fact that as soon as you go out in fresh air, you feel better. That's just alignment. So if you're a bit woo-woo and you're like thinking, alignment, your body knows what alignment is. You eat something good, you feel good. You move, you feel good. You go out for fresh air, you feel good. So these are the things first, so being aware that the eating is not about the food and the weight, that's kind of the first step. First of all, is awareness. Then you got some space, some space to create something. Another thing is like identifying where are the leaks, because the reason why we have that hunger is because we are not looking at what could possibly be causing this hunger. And it goes beyond because you've skipped a meal, because if that worked, we'd all be free by now, wouldn't we? If it was mindful eating, we would be free, because these are all tools and techniques, let's face it, So I go beyond that. It's what are the parts of your life that you're not happy with? Another thing as well, I was like thinking, and it's not just about that, it's when you know about the impact what this binge eating, this visage, because at the very root of this binge eating is basically the loss of identity. Like our identity was to be pure, to be in this world, to enjoy, to create whatever we wanted, to be as we are. But somewhere along the line, we got told we're too fat, too loud, too much, too like, seriously, you want to be an actor? Huh, who could get a job like that? Why are you making faces? Why are you looking like that, Mel? It's like all these things then create this new identity, the learned self. So once you're aware that that is not you, then you're further ahead than most people. When they're like suffering from like these uncontrollable eating, the more awareness that they have about the real cause of the binge eating and questioning everything, because most of us is led to believe that every single thought that we think is true. And until somebody says, are you sure? Are you definitely sure that you cannot stop eating? Oh, yes, my doctor told me that I've got binge eating disorder, so it's a mental illness. Okay, keep telling yourself that.
Nice story. Nice story. Yeah, and also it's a label, isn't it? So, I got this.
Absolutely. Labels are like friggin' dangerous.
Don't we just love labels? So now I don't have to do anything because I got this disease. They came to me, but actually...
Exactly. Give me some tablets.
It's actually talking to you. So this condition, I like that because I talked to psychologists, I talked to professors of this, talked to survivors. I had lots about ARFID from Jackie Harding from our group. And this is another point of view to realize there could be a higher calling for you there. Instead of sitting there.
Absolutely.
Move on.
Absolutely.
And think about that, because we're now in the last 3 minutes and you told us, first tip, awareness, realize what's actually going on. The second tip, I don't remember the heading, but you explain it vertically and horizontally. What is the calling? So where is the spark? What happened to the spark? And let's give a last tip. So if we want to realize and accept that in our particular case, because we're all different, so I'm not saying blanket statement that everyone is a binge eater. We're not diagnosing anyone, we're not prescribing, and we're not saying that everyone will do it for the right reason, for the wrong reason, or because of a calling. Everyone is a different case. However, when there is this neglected feeling that we have not nourished who we really wanted to become, so our eternal, incredible potential, that could be quite a nagging feeling because maybe you're raising kids, you're too busy in your career, your passions get forgotten for 20 years. Maybe you are busy providing for your own family, from your own wife and kids, and you didn't have time to become the amazing fisherman you wanted to be. I don't know. Whatever the calling is, if we just keep ignoring the calling, it will be louder and louder, and it will express itself in different ways. One could be so painful that we end up eating because just to soothe it and to get some comfort until we're ready to face the reality that we really have to align ourselves to that. And it's not society. And I hate to be told by society that I have to do this and that. For the collective, just think about 1 minute. If you are a happy individual, you're not going to go around and hurt other people. You're going to be very happy. Yeah. And because you're happy and you're fulfilled, you're going to love yourself, respect your body, and you're going to expect that from other people. But if you are constantly doing things, the society wants you to be size 0. Oh, yeah, so I'm going to become very thin. And we see binge eating among models, and then you have throwing up a food, so bulimia, because of this constant tension between what the media, what Instagram tells you, the social media status, and what actually we're supposed to be. And as you were saying in our chat before the podcast, a lot of it is about eating fresh foods, going out in the sunshine, be with your family. It's about relationship connections and the simple connection to nature. It's really not about being size 10 or 12 or eating or not eating. If I want to eat a cake, I just eat a cake. I'm not going to be there killing myself with the idea. But obviously, if they become a big problem, then we have to see deep inside who is talking, where it's, I mean, I'm just touching here for those listening to the podcast only, and touching my, what's the name of this area? My soul area, my heart, thinking that we have this inner voice, and that voice wants us to let it come out and express itself by aligning to that passion. Hopefully it's a healthy passion, right? So I'm thankful that we had this chat, you know, because with you, Mel, we got this other sphere that perhaps hasn't been just the true calling. So it's not about the food, it's about who you are and who you have not become, and relighting the spark that has died off listening to what the other people give you as a feedback.
Absolutely. Well said, Franz. Well said.
We are so excited about this because we have 30 minutes.
Yeah. And also I wanted to mention as well, like up until the 22nd of April, I've actually done a huge masterclass, literally the what lies underneath the binge eating. And I tell you what, I've had so much feedback on it, is that they like once they watch this, they never, like, you'll never see binge eating and recovery the same again, because there's some stuff in there that I don't think anyone is talking about, because we're all focusing on fixing the eating. When you align with who you are meant to be, it all fixes itself anyway.
Yes. Mel Lopez, all the way from France, telling us the truth about binge eating. We will put links to retreats and courses and masterclasses, so whatever else Mel is offering us. Thank you so much for being in my show today.
Ah, it's such a pleasure speaking to you as always, Franz.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm hoping that you guys click and share this episode, because I'm sure that nobody else is talking about your true calling, but one that you want to honor and then you have neglected. And maybe that neglect was showing with binge eating, and that's the time to overcome it. So feel free to contact me I'm on Substack under Franz Sidney, or maybe Create with Franz, or The Art of Living, one of my free trade names that I have everywhere. And Mel Lopez will have every single link in there. Feel free to ask questions. She is amazingly happy in France because, you know what? She has found her true calling there by being in contact with nature and sunshine, having her relationship sorted out. And living rainy England, this is a good thing. I'm not saying for any time we should be living in England, although I am. But whatever your calling is, maybe you're moving from, you know, one country to another. Maybe you're just moving internally from one state to the other. And here is where coaching, hypnosis, RTT, and conversational hypnosis and NLP, EFT can all be just taken you to one place to create the life that you want by unmasking the real reason why you're having these unhealthy patterns and behaviors, including self-sabotage, including eating in a disorderly manners, and is all there to help you so you can go home and say, actually, I can do something today about this. And I'm so glad you're here with us. So thank you so much. And I'll see you all next week. Take care and bye-bye.